Welcome back to day 10 of our 14-day crash course. This will be a shorter segment because all we're really going to do here is talk about the duration of marriage mentoring. Years ago when we first designed this, as you remember, we really interviewed a lot of couples who were already trained in other programs. And some of them required us to mentor couples for a whole year, maybe once a month or something like that. And we found out that mentors felt like that was too much and too long. We also found out that some of them felt like they were getting burned out. And then the third reason that we adapted and changed based on their feedback is by interviewing couples who got mentored. And here's what they had to say. When we get help from another couple, we don't like there to be much of a gap in between sessions. And if we're only going to meet with a mentor once a month, a lot of bad things can happen in 3 or 4 weeks. So what we've discovered is building momentum and building blocks, if you will, stepping stones, is important, just like if it were counseling or therapy. And so what we decided is to build a 10-week mentoring process. We also discovered that every couple that we mentored beyond 10 weeks for years, we found that many of them didn't really change. We found most of the life change and most of the miracles and most of the transformation, even the toughest of couples, all occurred in the first 10 weeks. So we decided to make it a 10-week process, one night a week for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And if mentors feel like going a little longer, that's fine, but we give them the option. And they also can quit sooner. They can terminate the mentoring process around 4, 5, 6 weeks if they feel like they've completed everything and they're ready to separate. We also decided to follow up with couples that we're mentoring 3 to 6 months later just to see how they're doing. We found that most couples that need ongoing help, it's not that they need mentored again. It's not that they need another 10 weeks with another couple. It's almost like if I go to a therapist for 10 weeks and the therapist does a great job and gives me all this direction, I go home and then 2 months later I call the same therapist and I say, hey, listen, I still have issues. And the therapist brings me in and reviews all the same things they told me in the first 10 weeks. So here's what we do. When we meet with couples after we're done and they still may have some issues, we do one of two things. The first is we review all the notes, all their commitments, all their promises when we mediate, teach, and confront, all the things that they said they were going to do. We simply review and we ask them, how have you been doing with your promises? And most of the time, the couples that need ongoing help from our mentoring program, the problem is they just aren't following through with their commitments. I rarely see where couples follow through with their promises and commitments and all the things they said they were going to do, still have major issues. However, sometimes we come across a couple who does need intense counseling from a professional. I want to make it clear that we work arm in arm with professionals. I certainly like to find those who use the Bible and they stand firm on God's Word and they're still professional, licensed, or maybe not licensed counselors. And I also know there are specialty occasions where I'll route someone to a counselor or a therapist who specializes in certain things, such as sex abuse or some kind of childhood trauma that goes way beyond our skill, way beyond our understanding. And I understand that, and I work very well with professionals that are trained in those areas. And so those are the two things that we do. We just do a review, or maybe we refer them to someone who has a deeper level of skill and training and say, listen, we're not going to mentor you all over again. We're going to refer you to something else. So there you go, 10 weeks. It might seem impossible with some couples, but I've seen miracles. I've seen restoration, couples who were separated, no hope, filed for divorce. I've seen so much restoration in a 10-week period, and it doesn't burn out the mentors. And I've seen it work, and so that's it. I look forward to seeing you soon in the next segment.